Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Eden Road podcast. Where in today's show, we're going over the Sunderland game from last night. We hadn't originally planned to actually do a pod midweek. We were going to kind of wrap Sheffield Wednesday and Sunderland into one. But Dan, after last night, I think it would have been rude not to.
Yeah, ever since Craig's been gone from the podcast, it's just got so much more positive. So, let's hope he's not here to jinx things today.
Craig, how are you?
I've been, sorry, you may hear it. Apologies in advance, by the way. I've been unwell for a few days. Ever since Saturday evening, I didn't go to Everton because I was under the weather. And I didn't go yesterday because I haven't been feeling great. We've scored 7 goals in the 2 games that I've missed. I got more messages last night from people I haven't spoken to in ages telling me to not come back to Brentford again because of what's happened over the last 2. So you won't see me at Sheffield Wednesday. And I hope we lose that game. Then I can go back.
Welcome back, Craig. We hope you're feeling better. But as everyone's been messaging you, maybe best to stay away because the goals keep flowing whilst you're gone. Before we get going, remember to drop a comment down below with your thoughts around the game last night. We're recording this first thing Thursday. Subscribe to the YouTube and Spotify channels. Follow us on the socials at Eden Road on Twitter, at Eden Road Pod on Instagram. Tweet of the week. I think the graphic that the social team at Brentford had obviously pre-made before the game last night because Thiago has been closing in on this record. And the caption about it, I just thought it was a brilliant tweet. The best there's been with the Brazilian flag emoji, highest goal scoring season from any Brazilian player in Premier League history with 16 now. It seems quite low, Dan, but I mean, last night he was on fire and we love him more each week.
Well, the fact he's broken it with 17 games to go suggests that, he should be aiming for, at least 25, 26 goals now. And, that would be the most we've ever had in the season in the Premier League from one player. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Doesn't score for a few weeks, responds with 5 goals in a matter of days. It's not bad, is it? And obviously a few others are chipping in a little bit now with goals. Obviously Yarmo got his first goal in this one. But yeah, he could just do a bit of everything. When he's on it, he's so hard to deal with, Igor Thiago. And, I know there's reluctance perhaps on Brazil to pick him because he plays at Brentford. But just looking at where Brentford are in the league, looking at how he's doing, he's so far of anyone else that's not called Erling Haaland. Yeah. I think he's about 6 or 7 goals ahead of the next person, who's third in the goal scoring charts. So, if Haaland picked up an injury, I think he's got a run at the Golden Boot there, but that's probably going to be Haaland's every year. So I reckon they should give out a little trophy for second place. I think whilst Haaland's around,
I reckon Haaland is more likely to be rested from City than Thiago is for us, especially if they are going to end up changing their focus to be Champions League football towards the end of the season. Thiago's got it in the bag already.
He'll be motivated for that as well. 100%. You can tell by the type of character he is. He wasn't happy with 2 goals last night. But Craig, I think tweet of the week, trend of the week. I got back to the Griffin, just scrolling through Twitter after the game last night, and I saw Frank out was the number 5 trend on Twitter. Craig, not a tweet of the week, but I mean, who would have thought that? I mean, first of all, they lost to Bournemouth, who haven't won a game since October, I think. And there was, there's Instagram posts from Romero. There's all sorts going on at Spurs. That club is cursed. But I thoroughly enjoyed the fact we are now, I think we're 6 points ahead of Thomas Frank's Tottenham. What do you think about that?
Frank out feels like a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, Holloway.
I'm sure I've heard that before somewhere a long time ago. Look, I think that I saw something on Twitter and it was a Forest fan that had posted the result from the first game of the season. And I'm just reminiscing back to being stood outside in the concourse bit at halftime, being 3-0 down, talking to people going, man, we could go down. We could go down this year. And we're doing a podcast after beating Sunderland 3-0 and going 5th. I don't think that any Brentford fan could have fathomed where we would be at this point in the season after that first 45 minutes against Nottingham Forest. I kind of expected Spurs to not do fantastically this year because of how bad they were last year. And Thomas Frank said before, didn't he? Are we really a Champions League club? We're here because we won the Europa League, but we finished 17th last season. they're going to finish 17th again, aren't they? Like it's going to happen.
I've seen the tweets from the Spurs fans now posting like the top 5 and being like, look at where Brentford are now. Now they're rid of Thomas Frank, and obviously there's that photo of him as well last night drinking from the Arsenal Cup. Like he just can't do anything right, and you can guarantee when he came to the Gtech the other week and all his clapping of the home support and running over to Woody, like that's not going to be taken well by the Spurs fans. And he's a really nice guy. He's a really respectful guy. But the fact that he's just picking up a cup and it's got an Arsenal badge on it and he doesn't notice, like he just can't do anything right at the moment, can he?
I saw an AI generated image of Robbie from AFTV interviewing Thomas Frank with loads of Arsenal gear on.
That's funny.
Right. Okay. Enough of Thomas Frank. We've kind of spoken about the result. Craig, I'll come to you. Initial thoughts. Believe it or not, I was watching Match of the Day this morning. That was our first ever midweek home win in the Premier League, which I found baffling. But yeah, how did it look from your perspective?
Well, as I have mentioned already, unfortunately, I did have to watch from home. But the last 2 games which I've watched, when you watch a game on the telly compared to being there, and sometimes you're like, it's not the same. But the last 2 games have been so enjoyable and so exciting to watch, even from a distance of watching on the telly. I had so much fun watching Brentford play last night compared to, when you watch England play and you're like, oh, this is dross, man. This is so dull. This is so boring. I was watching this game. I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, come on. I'm in front of the telly, guy. Come on. And it was so much fun. It was so enjoyable to watch the game yesterday. And I don't want to miss any more games through this illness. I hope to be back soon, that's for sure. But I was a bit surprised to see Damsgaard dropped. Or not necessarily dropped, but rotated. And obviously Keane comes back in. But the thing that we benefit from having 2 players in Matthias Jensen, and what a season he's having as well so far, and a player like Mikael Damsgaard, is when Mikael Damsgaard is not firing on all cylinders. Players like Matthias Jensen can come in and they can fill the boots of what Damsgaard did last year. And when Damsgaard comes on, he also brings us that fresh perspective and he brings us something new going forwards as well. And when you've got them both on the pitch at some points, we look like we could have scored from every attack yesterday. It was so fun to watch.
Could have been 5 or 6, Dan, no?
Yeah, I mean, there's been real progression in the last couple of games in particular. Just the way we're mixing it up. We had more possession in both of those games as well. We're still direct at time through Thiago, but we're also playing a bit more football. We can progress the ball better through the midfield. It's everything we asked for and everything we probably maybe doubted Keith Andrews in a few weeks ago and about how he can progress this team. And, I think we're seeing that. I think he can progress his team now. And I think he, might be someone that could be with us for a long time and bring us success. And, with the way it's going from Thomas Frank, everyone else might be a bit reluctant to bring in a Brentford manager in the future. Just because of how everything's set up. And, Brentford's probably a very easy club to manage. So, it's all going brilliantly well and we can look up rather than down now. I think that gives the team a bit more freedom to play with because, we're in the mix and we got to take advantage of being in this position. The more results, the more we can extend this run now, the bigger the gaps get between us and the teams below us, because obviously that was the issue, just the fact that half the division are within 3 or 4 points of us. But, we've made a start. We've gone 5 or 6 points clear of some teams now. And we just got to keep going. I couldn't believe yesterday's results in terms of Man United not beating Burnley and then Chelsea losing to Fulham as well. It's like everything's falling in place at the moment. But, there's still a long way to go. We've got, maybe tougher fixtures coming up. It's been a relatively nice run that we've been on, but we've made the most of it. We've gone on a run and, it's exciting to just think where we could go now rather than looking over our shoulders and being worried about anything.
I said at the start of the season that, I said we kind of said about Thiago. Dan, obviously at the start of the season, you wasn't massively sold on him, and I wasn't sold on Henderson as a signing. So we've made mistakes.
It was a true fact at the time.
At the time, it probably was, yeah. But I'm sure that, and I'll have to go back through the archive here to the start of the season. I'm sure that I said he'll get 15 goal contributions this season, and he's got 16 goals. And I love listening to the commentary sometimes because they state the obvious, but sometimes the obvious sounds so good. And they just say he's got 16 goals, and we're at the start of January.
Yeah, no one expected that. Them
No
numbers
one.
from him. No one would have expected that.
It's
Yeah.
Haaland levels.
Yeah.
It's Haaland levels. He's scoring Haaland amount of goals. That's the thing. All of a sudden, Callum's Champions League shout the other week doesn't actually seem that far off.
No.
Hang on, Mike. Hang on. There's a long way to go.
Well, anyway, we need Callum. We need Callum in for some.
Give it 5 or 6 more games, and then we'll go from Dan's attitude and know really where we're going to finish this season.
Yeah.
It was a little tense inside the ground in the first half. Sunderland, to be fair to them, and I think kind of on the balance of the game as well, when they came out in the second, they got the pen. You know, we'll talk about the pen in a bit, and if they score the pen, we could be talking about a different result. But they did look good. They played out of our press quite nicely at times. But you know, we were definitely on top in the first half. I wonder, Dan, that Thiago Sharda link up, and Sharda's been in a good vein of form. I wouldn't say he's obviously hitting the levels when he's scoring hat-tricks every week, but he has been good. It's a different kind of partnership to Mbeumo and Tony. And I've seen some comparisons, but it's one that it looks like they're getting chemistry week on week. And in the first half, with Thiago dropping deep and with how wide Sunderland's centre halves were playing, there was always going to be joy. And to be fair, like with the goal as well, another assist for Janelt. But just in particular, that partnership, is it impressing you?
Yes, I think they're playing closer together in the last couple of games. You know, Damsgaard was more of a drifting around the pitch against Everton, and obviously it was more of a front two. And I thought it was still kind of the same against Sunderland. KLP was definitely deeper and perhaps wider than those two up front. And I think them two playing closer together has really helped both of them because, you know, there's no good Thiago winning flick-ons if no one's close by to try and make the most of those. And, you know, they complement each other really well. Sharda can run in behind. He's very quick. You know, they have pretty similar attributes, really, but they're both really difficult to deal with. And when you've got two of them working together up front, and I'm pleased for Sharda. He's showing some consistency now. You know, we don't expect him to score every week. You know, perhaps he should have scored just before Thiago scored, but he ended up getting the assist. But just in terms of his general performances, you know, it seems like even defensively, you know, he's maybe working a bit harder as well, and he just seems to be more involved. He still went down the tunnel as soon as the final whistle went last night. I don't know what that's all about.
That's just
that is just him. Yeah,
yeah,
and I guess it's fine. You know, if we had 11 of him though, it'd make the end of the game a bit dull, wouldn't it? But I'm pleased that he's showing a bit more consistency now, and obviously Dango's going to be back, and I think he's going to find it a little bit hard to maybe get into the team. You know, he might play against Sheffield Wednesday because I think it'll be a rotated side, but I'm not sure I'd bring him back in necessarily for the Chelsea game.
Craig, I want to give you the floor for Janelt because I don't think we've had you on or you've been on since this kind of Janelt revival. Another assist for him, I think, is up to 4 this season. Vitaly Janelt, how did he just keep week on week? He's our best player, if not one of our best players on the pitch at the moment.
I think that Henderson had played for so long that he didn't look droppable. Then Vitaly Janelt steps up, and we look to reflect at last season and the seasons before that, where we'd criticised Janelt for not really filling the boots of what Christian Norgard could do. But when you've got someone like Henderson paves the way for players like Yarmo, who he allows him to bloom and do what he does off the ball. You put Janelt, alongside Henderson, and again, it allows a player to bloom and do what they want to do on the ball because Henderson will do the dirty work for them as well. But Janelt will also do that. When you've got someone with the experience that Henderson's got, and then you need to replace him with someone who has been playing alongside him, I do see traits of Henderson in Vitaly Janelt already, especially with the way that he'll look to pick the ball up and progress the ball forwards really quickly now. And that's not really something that he would do before. I think it's fair to say that when we've watched him play in the past, he'll receive the ball from the defence and it'll be a bounce pass back in and then we'll play out and around. We never used to play through Vitaly Janelt, but these last few games, Vitaly Janelt has been one of our more progressive players on the pitch, especially when you you take out Jensen and Damsgaard from the team. I mean, as well, I thought that Janelt was fantastic against Wolves, including going back to the Wolves game as well. He's been absolutely brilliant. It's amazing what a player can do when they fight for a contract, isn't it?
Yeah, give him what he wants. Give him what he wants. I saw the Rio Ferdinand meme going around about Vitaly Janelt. Give him anything he wants. So I want to issue a personal apology to Janelt. I remember doing a video, I think it was last season, and kind of saying Janelt can't do the Norgard role and he's not like the answer for us going forward. Turns out he can. He really, really can. Like in the last few games. Go on.
I don't think that he can do it, but I don't think it's the Norgard role. When we had Christian Norgard, we relied so heavily on a defensive midfielder because our defense at times looked very shaky. And I want to give the flowers to Christopher Ajer, who at centre back has been unreal. At centre back has been unbelievable. Play him in his natural position. It's amazing what a player can do, isn't it? When they're not playing at right back. It makes me think that Mads Roslov was being played in the wrong position every single time. But Christopher Ajer been absolutely fantastic, and I love Sepp van den Berg. I think Sepp van den Berg has got the potential to be a fantastic defender. But putting Nathan Collins next to Christopher Ajer, Nathan Collins has been brilliant these last few games as well. He's been absolutely brilliant. So from Kelleher through Christopher Ajer and Nathan Collins, through Vitaly Janelt and Matthias Jensen, who have been unreal as well, through to Kevin Schade and Igor Thiago, you've got the spine of a team that are just playing and are playing well and are so cohesive and so good at the moment. It's so enjoyable to watch again. And it's crazy, isn't it? Because let's not ignore the fact that like 6 games ago we were going, oh man, this is not the man to take us forward. This is not the man to take us forward. But we've got what have we got? 11 points in 5 games.
Yeah, from 15th to 5th over the festive period.
To 5th.
Yeah,
11 points in 5 games. People were looking at this run of fixtures again. Oh, we'll be lucky if we get a couple of points, pick up a couple of draws. Sunderland have been such a difficult team for teams to break down, to the point that Man City are the only other team that have scored 3 goals against Sunderland this season. Man City are the only other team to do it.
They had only lost 4 games. Only, I think Arsenal had lost less games than them. They had lost the same amount as Villa and City. So, it's always going to be a difficult game to break down. Yeah, they draw a lot, but, on paper, Everton look like a side who are very physical and our direct play wouldn't necessarily work that well. This looked like a game maybe a bit similar to the Leeds game where, they'll set up in quite a compact shape. I think they played a back 4, whereas Leeds played a back 5, but we know how difficult they can be to break down. And, we know how difficult they've been to play for a lot of teams this season. And, we're meeting these challenges and we've met them really comfortably, scoring so many goals. I mean, that's 4 wins in 5, unbeaten in about 6. And, this is the sort of run we needed to really push us from that middle pack and really, see what we can do from here.
I think the first half was, I think we edged it, but Sunderland were definitely in it, and I think they came out and just on Janelt as well, like the way that he was kind of dropping. You're right, Craig. It's not the Norgard role because he's more of an orchestrator at the moment for us. When we build up, it's a back 3 of him, Collins, and Ajer, and the fullbacks are really high and wide. But at the moment, Vitaly is that kind of orchestrator for us. But in the second half, like they did come out and they did put pressure on us. No complaints with the pen. I don't think it was pretty stonewall, to be fair. But Caoimhin Kelleher, Dan, 4 out of 6 penalties saved in the Premier League, 67% ratio, the best save rate of any goalkeeper to face more than 5 spot kicks in the competition. First of all, Enzo Lefebvre, what an absolute tit. but second of all, Dan, Caoimhin Kelleher, talk to me.
You just don't do that against him. And, I'm sure they know that he's known for his penalty saving. He's been brilliant in general, Kelleher, recently. He is contributing to these results. Everyone in the team is contributing to these results. It's not coming from maybe 1 or 2 players. Maybe at times last season, it was all about Wissa and Mbeumo in the media, certainly all the time. This year, yes, Thiago's getting a bit of his own praise, but generally, I think everyone you can say is contributing to these results, and that includes Kelleher making big saves at big times. And he has to be the best shot stopper we've had. I think if anything can improve,
over Raya.
Possibly, Raya and penalties when we used to face penalties. I think obviously in terms of distribution and kicking, I think Kelleher can improve there, but he just looks so calm, and he's not going to move until he jinked to the left, jinked to the right, realized that he wasn't actually going either side. And if you're going to go down the middle, at least smash it. It just looks so embarrassing, and just what Kelleher's he's got it in him, and I think it says a lot the fact that when we can see the penalty now, I'm like, oh, maybe we'll be all right. And I don't want to tell anyone that, because if I tell the person next to me that, then and they score it, then I'll look stupid. But I have some faith now that it's not a guaranteed goal when we give away a penalty, which is quite.
It was the cheeky thumbs up from Kelleher to Lefay afterwards, as if to just go, "Oh, cheers, mate, for that." But I think that Dan, just a point of what you said, where everyone is contributing to points in this season, that is the biggest difference between Kelleher and Flecken. Is we had so many conversations about Mark Flecken where he's not winning us points throughout the season, but Kelleher is doing that for us. Because let's be honest, like we look at this game at 1-0. For one, at 1-0, who in their right mind tries a penalty like that anyway at 1-0? But if he scores that completely changes the dynamic of the game, because they were on top at that point as well. And we could have reverted to the Brentford that we know and conceded in twos, and very quickly the game's on its head. You look at the Man United game. I think that was at 1-0 or maybe 2-1 when he saved Bruno's penalty. He's contributing to points, which is the biggest difference between him and Mark Flecken.
It's such an upgrade. Like we say it week on week, it's such a big upgrade. But I want to credit Keith again, because subs at the right time. I thought the subs were right against Everton. He brings on Damsgaard shortly after they missed a pen. And, we've been talking about the kind of squad depth, the competition for places. Damsgaard, when he came on, injected energy, plays his part in the second goal, which was a bit mad, to be fair, Dan. Talk us through it, because it was like the Sharda miss, but then to get back up and get the header for the assist for Thiago. But yeah, it's just mad kind of passage of play.
Yeah, I was still reeling from the fact that we didn't score. And then obviously it comes back in, and, Keith Andrews goes mental as well and runs all the way over to Thiago and jumps on his back. It's just, it shows what we're about, and, we're not going to give up. Sharda should have scored. But, he still plays a part in the move later on, nodding it back across. It's a good header back into the area where Thiago is. And obviously he's got to score in those situations. There's not really anyone around him. He's got a clear target there. It'll happen so quickly, really. But, it's just really good how we responded. From that penalty miss, you could tell the momentum was taken out of Sunderland a little bit. And then from there on, we just completely controlled it, I think. And yeah, we deserve to win by at least 3 goals, probably more. But I'm pleased that, we got that one pretty soon after the penalty to really settle things down, and then we could play our stuff. And you could see the confidence towards the end of the game. Yeah. We were trying things, and that Damsgaard little lob over the defender, and obviously Nelson probably should have scored, but we were trying some really nice things in those last 20 minutes, and you could see that the confidence is really flowing.
We've been saying it all season, Craig, about people would have been angered by the fact that Damsgaard was dropped because of the performance at Everton. But we've been saying all season, rotation is fine. We've got the players to rotate now, which we haven't really had at any point during our Premier League time in the Premier League. So long as the subs come at the right time, and they come, because they haven't been. I think that's like the main frustration with Andrews this season has been affecting games whilst the game is going on. But if you've got the subs and you've got the quality off the bench and you use it at the right time, then you fully warrant going Jose Mourinho down the touchline.
I think that providing that sub isn't in the 91st minute, then and they score the winner. But when it's Mikkel Damsgaard and he's brought in the game at the right time, between the 60th and the 70th minute, that he's going to come in and he's going to create. There's going to be a chance that comes from Mikkel Damsgaard. There's going to be an opportunity. And it's him that picks up the loose ball from the defender after the penalty, plays in Thiago. Then obviously there's the miss from Sharda. He's obviously unfortunate, hits the bar. And then but But the substitutes, when they come at the right time, they change the game. And Mikkel Damsgaard can change the game, providing he's given the right amount of time. And that's exactly what happened, because he brings us that new avenue of creativity. And it's shown time and time again, when a player like Damsgaard, when a player like Jensen comes on, even when Henderson comes on, he can change the game because he's so direct with his passing up towards Thiago and Sharda. So it worked. This week it worked. Last week we was probably saying, like, oh, why was there only one substitute? Or maybe we need a little substitute a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I'm starting to give him the benefit of the doubt, man. I'm starting to
I think when we're winning, I don't normally have much of an issue with the subs. I think it's harder when you're in a losing position to change the momentum then. And I think that's what he struggled with a little bit more, just to get points from losing positions. Or even against Spurs last week when it was 0-0 and Damsgaard didn't come on at all. We just looked like we needed that little bit more creativity to try and unlock the door. Spurs weren't really threatening us, so I thought we could afford to bring Damsgaard on a bit earlier and, at least give it more of a go to win the game. But, when we're winning, generally this season, I don't think Keith Andrews has had many problems with his subs, but, it's a lot easier when you're winning. You're not really trying to change the game. You're just trying to freshen things up.
Well, the one that I'd cite when we were winning was Brighton, when the subs didn't come and the momentum had completely switched. And we were kind of just at a point where they were going to score. It was inevitable they were going to score, but the subs didn't come. We needed to kind of
Bournemouth to an extent as well. I know we won that 4-1, but there was a period in that second half where they were absolutely hammering us, and maybe they could have come earlier then. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, the third goal is probably my favourite, just because Yarmolyuk's face down. And the chant getting going and that kind of spreading. That happened. I'm pretty sure that was Wolves away that started last season, I want to say. But just his face when he scored, that is pure and utter unadulterated football joy.
I mean, just the fact it's his first senior goal for anyone. I think he scored for Ukraine at age group level, so younger levels. But, you only get your first senior goal once. He's been a really, really good player for us this season. He's cemented himself in the team. He's still very, very young. And that's what we want him to add to his game. The confidence he'll gain from that. There have been, in recent weeks, he's had a few efforts. This wasn't the cleanest of goals, but, you take them when they come, and he just looks so happy, and it was the icing on the cake, when we're asking for other people to get involved in scoring as well. And that's his next thing now. Maybe be a bit more. I do find with his passing it sometimes he plays it a little bit safe at times.
Yeah.
But, with some confidence, and, that goal should bring him some confidence. The team in general should be able to play with more confidence now we are where we are in the league. So I just hope now he takes his game to the next level. If he can add some goals and a bit more creativity to his game, he can be a really top midfielder, because he gets around the pitch so well the rest of the time. He's been so good for us. And yeah, it's just nice to see, the smile on his face and him getting all the attention, because, he's not normally the one that gets all the attention. And, Brentford fans clearly love him. He's clearly got massive potential. And obviously, he's only going to get that moment once. You can see all the other players when they ran over to him when he scored as well, how happy they were for him as well.
Shameless plug. I made a video on Yarmo and the result last night, and I said that he can be the 8 that we all think that he can be if he kind of starts to add goals and assists to his game first of all. But there was a moment in the second half when he gets the ball out on the right. I think it was after a turnover. He gets the ball out on the right, and he's got a player to beat, but he turns around and just goes for the safe option. It comes back to what you said, but I just think he needs to believe in his own quality, drive at the defense. He's got the tech to beat defenders. He should be able to believe in his own quality and just sometimes not slow the ball, not slow play down, and actually attack the goal. And I think he can do that with a bit of refinement to his game. But yeah, I mean, he's having a bit of an up and down season. I feel like game to game, he can be really good, and then he'd be really poor like he was at Everton, less so in the second half. But last night he was outstanding. And to get that goal. And Craig, it should have been like watching that from the telly, tactical view. It should have been more. It could have been more. We denied a Puskas nominee with that Damsgaard scoop up to Nelson. I couldn't believe that he missed. But how did that look on the telly?
Well, I originally thought he was offside. And obviously when you see it, he misses the chance, and then you go, it's all right. It's like the Keane one against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You're like, it's all right. He's offside. And then you look it back and you're like, Like, there's such a fantastic passage of play. You lift the ball over the defender. All you got to do is just put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, he tries to do it first time on the volley and skims the outside of the post. But he skims the outside of the post. Damsgaard hits the post. Keane hits the crossbar from a free kick. Watching from the telly, I'm thinking, how the bloody hell is this only 3-0? Like, it looked like we should have absolutely smashed them. But look, Reece Nelson, he brings us something else, I suppose. I feel sorry for him because everyone else around him is doing so well and he can't get any consistency in fitness, and especially he can't get any consistency in minutes because of how well people are doing. When he comes on, he needs to take one of these big chances that are afforded to him that maybe get Brentford fans thinking, oh, maybe he should start, you know? Like, he did well against Grimsby. I know it's the cup game. He did well against Palace, and he's had flurries against other teams. Like, when he played against Bournemouth and he came on, I thought he was quite direct. If he doesn't put a chance like that in the back of the net, he's not really going to put himself into contention for selection. But, it was a lovely piece of football. I thought he was offside, so you go, never mind. And then he hits the outside of the post. You're like, oh, man, you just put the ball in the back of the net, man.
He'll start on Saturday, won't he? So that's a big chance for him and a big chance.
Is he allowed to in the FA Cup?
Well, he's not played in it, so I doubt Arsenal would have included a clause to say he couldn't. So I would have thought he could because he wouldn't have played in that already this season. So yeah,
I've already forgotten who he played in.
In what? In the FA
Cup? Is this the
third round?
We're just entering now, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, this is the third round, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know whether they'd allow it, so we'll see.
They allowed the League Cups. I don't see there'd be any. I think he will be playing.
Who stood out for you, Dan, last night? Apart from the players that we've mentioned already, I thought Collins was brilliant, and his kind of resurgence in form is amazing. But who else stood out for you?
I think it's all the obvious ones. I thought Janelt again. You know, I would have given him my man of the match for the last 2 games if it wasn't for Thiago bagging 5 goals in that time. I'm just amazed how he's reaching these levels, and you know, so we would not have thought that this would be our starting 11. You know, a few months ago. You know, if you told me we were 5th and this would be our starting 11, I'd be like, what's happened in between? Because you know, no offense to these players, but you know, Janelt, Jensen, you know, even Rico Henry back somewhere towards his best, seems to be the first choice left back now. I do like the way Rico Henry gets forward. I still think the end product's lacking a little bit, but I think he gets forward like none of our other fullbacks, and that's what I like about it. But you know, you can't say anyone didn't contribute to that performance, and you've got to say that that's our best 11. I probably would still have Damsgaard over Keane, Lewis, Potter. I still think sometimes his end product isn't quite there. Obviously, he was unlucky with a free kick, but you know, he had a few chances to put balls in the box, and you know, it wasn't always the best quality delivery. And you imagine Damsgaard doing that, and you know, more often than not, I think he'd be more on the money. But you know, even he's having a run in the team. There is a role for Keane, Lewis, Potter to play, I think. You know, even if it's off the bench, you know, he's not bad in that role. It's a slightly deeper role. It's very different to the role that Sharda or Dango would play. But yeah, it's hard to pick out individuals apart from the ones we've already highlighted, because everyone played a part. You can't say anyone was really below par at all last night.
Go on, Craig.
It's a shame that Rico's decided to declare for Jamaica, because
we're going back the Rico for England route.
Yeah, going back to Rico for England. We're 8 days into January, and I'm already thinking about Thiago winning Player of the Month again.
Well, I think he will. What I will say about the players, you're right, Dan. It's difficult to pick out standouts because I think everyone was really good, but the distances between them was spot on, and that's something that's coached. Every second ball and all these times that we're winning possession back deep into the opposition's half, that is coached. The distances, I thought that they're getting better each week. That how many times we've won the ball back at Everton, how many times we're winning the ball back deep against Sunderland. Credit to Keith. I don't want to milk it too much, Craig, but I genuinely think that was one of the best nights we've had at the Gtech since moving in. Dan, what do you reckon?
You weren't even there.
Yeah, wouldn't know about it, mate. Wouldn't know about it.
That's why I said I didn't want to milk it. I don't.
It's just the atmosphere that Peter Gilliam at the end going, "We're 5th," and you know, you just can't believe where we are at the moment. It's just kind of snuck up on us, and you know, Keith Andrews' songs are back after we spoke the other day. Still the same old songs, just with Thomas Trout replaced with Keith Andrews. But it's just a really happy feel around the place. Everyone's, confident and we're looking up. And I think just that feeling, I don't remember us being at this part of the table this early in the season. And it's still far enough into the season. We're over halfway through that, we've earned this spot. And, it could be really exciting end to the season. If we can maintain, 5th, 6th, 7th in the league now over the next few months, then, we're in for an exciting end to the season. Like I said, I think in previous years when we've been going for Europe, we've always come from like 10th, 11th and gone on a crazy run, but it's been a bit too late. If we can manage to get any European football, Champions League would be great, but any European football, that would be brilliant. And what an achievement that would be for Keith Andrews. And I think he deserves it. He deserves all the credit. And we've just got to trust Brentford. If Keith Andrews leaves one day and we hire a complete unknown, I think we've got to learn from this. And there's no reason not to trust them. It's scary and it's a bit nerve-wracking because we don't know what's going to happen. But the way this team has looked in the last few days, the way certain players have stepped up, the way it seems like, I'm really confident about Sheffield Wednesday, knowing that we're going to make a lot of changes, because who those changes are going to be. Like Jordan Henderson will probably start, Damsgaard will probably start. Like, it's insane. That's arguably just as good as the team that was starting the Premier League anyway. So everything's going really well right now. I really hope we attack the FA Cup as well. Another question about Kelleher: if we do get really far in the cup, and we're talking about a semi-final, final, I think Kelleher has to play. If not just for his penalty saves, because there's a chance those games could go to penalties. And yes, Valdemarsen's the cup goalkeeper, but if we're really serious about doing something really special, I think Kelleher needs to be there just for his ability in penalty shootout situations. Or do we do what some teams have done in the past and have him on the bench and bring him on towards the end of extra time, which doesn't always look good if you go on to lose a shootout. But yeah, I was just thinking about that when you were talking about Kelleher. I thought he's so good in these situations.
Yeah.
That in any cup tie, if we're playing a top side and we can just keep them out and hold them and get a draw out of it, that would suit us, knowing who we've got in goal.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. That's a good question, to be fair. We'll talk about Sheffield Wednesday. I do just want to say that one of the best parts about last night for me is that it was revenge for the result at the Stadium of Light, because I was listening to Besotted on the way to the game last night, and the Sunderland fan they had on us for the preview, and it kind of goes to show like opinions in football is just crazy. But they were saying, and the guy said that he'd spoken to various Sunderland fans before the game last night, and a lot of them said that Brentford were one of the best teams to come to the Stadium of Light this season. And I remember the reaction after we lost at Sunderland and people losing their heads and saying, this was like such a terrible performance against the newly promoted side. In the grand scheme of things, like with hindsight, with how well Sunderland have done, it was a good showing and probably a game that we didn't deserve to lose. But we've said countless amount of times that Sunderland result, I've said countless amount of times that Sunderland result pisses me off more than any result this season because of the missed penalty and because of the way that the game went. Go on, Craig.
How bad does that Forest result look now in hindsight as well?
Yeah, I know.
They managed to take a penalty that was even more embarrassing than Sharda's penalty that afternoon.
Go on.
Anything
else from the game last night before we move on to Sheffield Wednesday and the games we've got coming up?
No, it'll be nice to look at the league table for the next week and a half without any league games going on, and just seeing us fifth for the next 10 days.
Sheffield Wednesday then, Craig. I was doing a preview on a Sheffield Wednesday podcast earlier yesterday, and I was just like kind of looking through the names and the people that I think we're going to start, and it kind of touches on what we were just talking about with Dan, with you saying, I feel confident it's like another Premier League side. But it is. Like, if you look at the team, the players that are going to play, Pinnock, Vandenberg, Valdemarsen, Hickey's probably going to play because he didn't play last night. You're looking at another really, it's not the kids, it's another really strong side.
Well, we're at the point in our Premier League life cycle or career, shall I say, that we probably need to be getting to a point where we have 2 first 11s that can play every week, no matter what. And getting ahead of ourselves, if we're going to talk about European football, we need a decent second 11 team, which is going to play in those European games. We need the squad depth to be able to do it. And You think about the teams that are going to play. Yeah, I'm thinking Reece Nelson's going to start if he's allowed to, like Dan said. I hope Romeo Donovan gets some minutes. I doubt we'll see Gustavo Nunes ever again. Now his dad's kicking off on socials. But like, we've got so much depth in the right areas. You know, how many times last season did we go, fuck me, we ain't got a fullback?
Now we've got 3 left backs on the bench.
It's absolutely brilliant, and I'm like Dan. I'm looking forward to it, thinking this is going to be a strong team no matter what team goes out, and it's a team that can win it. It's going to be so funny when we lose, but it's a team that can win it.
That's what I was saying to the guy that I did the Sheffield Wednesday preview with. It's like the way Thomas Frank treated the cup competitions and the changes that were made. They were just it's difficult to kind of say Keita's taking it seriously because he's making the changes, but I feel like he's got the players to make the changes, whereas Thomas Frank didn't because of injuries and other things. But I mean, looking past that, Dan, Chelsea away up next in the league, then Forest at home, and then Villa and Newcastle away. It's probably, especially the away fixtures, probably our toughest run of the season coming up, would you say, away from home?
Yeah,
wait,
well,
wait. That curly-haired fuck Cucurella is not allowed to play against us, is he? Is that straight red card that he got 3-game ban or just 1?
It should be 3, no? Unless
I think
there's a
3,
difference,
yeah.
isn't it? Is there a difference between violent conduct and a straight red?
It wasn't serious foul play. It was dogso, wasn't it? So, and I don't know if it's a 1-game ban, if that just goes into the FA Cup, or if he won't be allowed to play against us.
I don't know. I'm having a look now.
Good podcasting, this boys.
Yeah.
So I can answer your question from
go
before.
on, Dan. Sorry, go on.
I mean, who would have thought we'd go to Chelsea above them a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, if we can get something now, obviously it'll be Rosinia's first league game. Obviously, we don't have great memories about his dad when he used to manage Brentford. So, you know, they'll be in the early stages of trying to build something. There's absolutely no reason we can't go into these games confident. You know, it is a stadium that we've had success at in the past. So, you know, most of the team, you know, knows how to win at Stamford Bridge. I think we can have a go and be confident. And, you know, if we don't win, if it doesn't go our way, then, you know, it's not the absolute end of the world. I think the Forest home game should be one that we're looking at to take advantage of. You know, they're not in a good place at all, really, at the moment. I think they've got Arsenal between now and then. So they're likely to still be in the same position they're in when we play that game. And I think Villa and Newcastle away, I'm more worried about those than I am about Chelsea away. I just think they're very difficult places to go to.
Yeah.
You know, we used to have luck at Villa in the Championship, but more recently we've not had much luck there at all. You know, they're 2 stadiums that we have really struggled at recently. Both of them don't lose very often at home. So I think there'll be 2 really tough games, and we'll see what we're made of in those 2 games because, you know, in terms of environments to go into, you know, there's not too many more difficult environments than that. And obviously Villa are absolutely flying. Newcastle are on our shoulders now as well in the league. So I think those 2 are the ones that, you know, I'm most, I'd say, worried about, but, you know, we're in a good position. So we don't have to be too worried. We can be brave. We can go there with some confidence.
Cucurella serves a 1-match ban, so he will be back for the Chelsea game, I found out. When you said curly-headed fuck, I thought you were going to say Keith Andrews. No, but I mean, that's a welcome sight. Cucurella, absolute shithouse. But yeah, Craig, round us out, mate. Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend, followed by the tough run of games. How you feeling?
I'm feeling a bit rough at the moment myself. I'd like to know whether people want me to go back. You know, am I allowed back after missing these?
You're allowed.
Games?
You're allowed.
This weekend is an opportunity for players who don't get a lot of minutes to get a good run out and show their worth. Players like Reece Nelson, players like, you know, Hickey getting 4 minutes, hopefully Sepp getting 4 minutes, Romeo Donovan hopefully getting some good minutes as well and showcasing what he can do. Boys, we're 5th in the Premier League, man. I thought we were going down after Forest. We're 5th in the Premier League.
I think that's a good place to round off the podcast. We'll be back after Sheffield Wednesday with a full-time show and a Villa preview as well. Remember to drop a comment down below with your thoughts around last night. I want to know where that ranks in terms of nights at the Gtech so far, because I thought last night, sorry, Craig, was fucking incredible from start to finish. Subscribe to the YouTube and Spotify channels. Follow us on the socials at the Ealing Road on Twitter, at Ealing Road Pod on Instagram. Gents, pleasure as always. Up the bees.
Up the bees.